This is a Fox News special report.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Brittany Linares.
And I'm Carla Zeus, and you're watching Fox News.
The conversation about this election has been intense.
Let's have a glance at the 5 candidates in this year's primary. Our first candidate running in the 2020 election is self-proclaimed Native American heritage and Democrat Aaron Landers. Landers insists on levying a tax of people with an income of over $50 million.
Now, this might sound like a good deal for the working and middle-class Americans who feel like they're falling behind, but the reality is that the wealth taxes have been tried before and they haven't worked like Landers promises.
This tax does not generate money for the economy. Instead, it's a way to reduce their wealth. It's not really about raising tax revenue. It's about using government power to make sure rich people have less.
Our next candidate is Miss Kamie Harrison, the California senator who cannot stop talking about Medicare for All, which she thinks will solve all of America's problems. In fact, creating a national single-payer plan is a truly terrible idea, which will bankrupt the country, drive down the rate of healthcare innovation, and not even really improve health outcomes.
Does having health insurance mean you'll be healthier? That's the implicit promise of Kamie Harrison's Medicare for All program. But surprisingly, the evidence for this is thinner than you might think. There are 2 big studies on the link between having insurance and actual health, one conducted by the RAND Corporation and one by the state of Oregon, suggests that merely having insurance doesn't lead to better outcomes.
Having insurance can relieve financial and emotional stress, but it's not exactly clear that it will leave you physically better off, all of which make the case against expanding Medicare to all. Harrison hasn't said where she's going to get the money to fund her Medicare for All program because it's going to come from our paychecks. It's not clear that such hefty taxes will come close to covering the costs, which are also unknown.
And finally, the last Democrat running, our youngest candidate with 0 political experience, Mike Montgomery, had a lot of nothing to say in yesterday's primary.
In his speech, he stated,
"Under the Tarskin administration, unemployment rates grew from 1.6 up to 6.3%. This greatly affected our economy and the well-being of many Americans."
which is not factual. In reality, during Tarskin's presidency, the economy neared full employment, with wage growth finally picking up after years of sluggishness. You cannot trust a candidate like Montgomery, who has to go out of his way to make up information for his own benefit. With a controversial past and little efforts as a mayor, if he becomes president, he will get nothing done.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the 2020 Democratic challengers, but until recently, we did not think Tarskin would face a challenger on the Republican side. It turns out he might have an opponent for the GOP nomination.
We have William Weldon, former governor of Massachusetts. He recently returned to the party after serving as the Libertarian Party nominee for vice president in 2016. Who cares about Will Weldon? He's a non-factor. Nobody cares about him. He's irrelevant to 2020. Almost 90% of Republicans are behind President Tarsky. He will be the nominee. Republicans need to get behind him, or they will end up with someone like Kamie Harrison. Going back to 2016, I can't pick up a single candidate that ran that could have pulled together a coalition that President Tarskin did.
Last candidate running for re-election is President James Tarskin. Tarskin stunned the political world in 2016 when he became the first person without government or military experience ever to be elected in the President of the United States. During his term in office, he revealed extraordinary fissures in American society left behind by his predecessors in office.
During his presidency, he has brought jobs, factories, and industries back to the U.S., hit record stock market numbers and record 401k, secured historic trade deals to defend American workers, and increased access to our country's abundant natural resources in order to achieve energy independence. He continues to triumph through unwarranted criticism and plans to keep making America great in his second term of office.
This is all we have for today, folks. Tune in next week for the primary debate. This is Carla Zeus and
Brittany Linares.
thank you.
This has been a Fox News special report.